Hey, hello there. This is going to be a build tutorial for the curve instance on surface tool that I made, which is already on Blender Market. I made it some time ago, but now in 4.1 there is a new way to do it and it's a lot easier. And I'm gonna show you how to do it. So if we look here, I already compressed it into a node group. And if we go into the curve here, we can draw on our surface. And then we see that we get a nice ribbon with a good UV that we can use for all kinds of things. If I go into edit mode again, I'm using the draw on surface. So it will always draw on the surface and find the surface of this object. So if you want a quick version, if I go into here, you can see the node setup. You can just copy it. At the end we do store the ribbon UV. But if you want to go along, now we're going to build it ourselves. So let's turn this one off, make a new folder. I create a icosphere. Go into this mode, subdivision 6, so it's nice and smooth. Then next what I'm going to do is create a Bezier curve. It's right over here. I delete with X and then I'm just going to pick the draw and surface and then draw a curve on the surface. Now you see that it's aligned with the surface. If we go out of ghost view, you see that it's not exactly aligned, but we are going to fix that. So if we go in here, we create a new node group. Let's call this new ribbon and then go to where our nodes are. So we're going to build it from the curve. If we go in here now and we drag in our object, because we are going to project the curve onto the object, we will take a proximity geometry proximity. Oh, that's the wrong one. Geometry proximity. There we go. And now we need the proximity of this sphere. And then we are going to set the position of our curve. Because now you see that the curve disappears. Here we go. And then we set the position. Now it's still not very visible because we need to resample the curve to give it enough points. So let's say 0.01. Now it has enough points to follow the smooth shape of this ball. So if we zoom in a little bit and I scale it up so it gets less points, you see that it gets less accurate. So if you give it more points, it can find the surface better. So you take the nearest point from the curve to the surface and then set that position. So if we don't set it, you see that it doesn't align very well. And if we set the position by proximity, it lines pretty well. So what we do next is we go from curve to mesh. And then we take a curve line. We plug that in and then you see that it creates a line on the curve, but it's not really correct. So we take this to 0. Let's put this in the Y direction and this in the Y minus direction. So now the curve comes out. Like it's not really based on the normals of the object below it. So we're going to fix that. We have a new node set curve normal, which wasn't in previous versions, but now there is. I don't know in which version they implemented it, but we can use it really well now. So if we go not to minimum twist, but to free, and then we can go here. We need the normal, so we can sample nearest surface. Then we set this to vector and we need the normal. So we are sampling the nearest normal from the curve. So the curve thinks, oh, I have a point here, the nearest surface is below me. I take the normal and then rotate the curve based on that normal. So then the ribbon that we just created is always aligned to the surface of this object, as we can see now. So it's really neat that we can do that now, set the curve normal, and then we can draw more, and you see that the ribbon is always aligned with your object. Like, it's intersecting here a little bit because the resolution is maybe too high, so you can set it a little bit less. You need to be careful, of course, that you don't get a lot of intersecting stuff. So maybe delete this one, create another one. And now what you also see is that it doesn't really align properly with the smooth surface below it. You can see a little bit here that it comes through the surface below it, and we're going to fix that as well. So let's first do a set material. So we are going to create a material here. We can see now that the material has a color. This material was already made for the other tool, and it has a texture on it. But here you see that now it's intersecting, and that's what we don't want. So the curved line is just 2 points, a starting point and an end point, and we are going to resample it to give it a little bit more points. So if I turn off the sphere, go into mesh shading, here we can see like it's just one face, and if we resample it, you can see it gets more lines, more points to work with. We can set this to length as well, maybe 0.2, no, 0.02, that's maybe a bit too big, 0.05, yeah, give it a few more like this. Now if we go back into shaded mode, go here, and then I want to set the position again. So here we set the position of the curve to align properly with the shape, and now we are going to set the position again. With Shift D I copy it and then take the geometry proximity again, position, and now it disappears. It's because it's aligned exactly, but it's now just inside the shape. So maybe we can give it more points that you can see it appear. Maybe this one as well, 0.05. Here you slightly see it appearing. And how we can fix it that it's on top of the shape is by taking the normal. No, type again, normal. So we're going to take the normal of the ribbon, and then we're going to multiply it. Multiply the normal, plug it into the offset. And this way, if we drag all these values, you see that it takes the normal and it pushes it out. This way you can get it. If we put it to 0.01, it's outside of the shape. And it still takes the shape nicely of the object below. So you can set it even less, 0.001. Yeah, works fine. You see a little intersection here, so maybe 0.002 is a bit better. And you can always change the resolution of your ribbons. So in this way, we now have a way to create ribbons on our object, which are properly placed. And what we are going to do next is we are going to take this, drag it a bit to the side. Let's make it look a bit nicer. Put some points here so it's not intersecting. We are going to make the UV map for this ribbon system. So if we drag this out a little bit, we are going to take a capture attribute. And now what we have here, we have the curve line resampled in this direction, and we have the curve line which is this direction that we draw. And we're gonna take both of them. We are going to capture the spline parameter. And if we plug in the length into both ones, and then we create a combine node. Let's put it over here. The X and the Y we capture. So the X is the curve that we draw, and the Y is the curved line that we create. So we have a coordinate system to map our textures. And if we create a store attribute node, then we plug that in. No, we can't. We have to set it first to vector and face corner. Plug it into the value. And I already created this one, so you will see the texture appear. I called it a ribbon UV. And now you see that the texture appears. And that is because in the material, if we go to, we choose the material here, we take the attribute ribbon UV and we created a texture. If we go in here, we create it from scratch. Texture, image texture. Here you can create a new color grid, UV grid, whatever you want. That's what I did. And that's right here. And then we take the X and Y from ribbon UV and that creates this. It's nicely aligned. What you can also do, what I did in the tool, is create a vector math node and then set the scaling. And with that you can also scale how big your texture is. And then you can map anything you want on it. So what you can do next is just take all this and then create it into your own node group. Like this. And then name everything properly. And you can take this. We want to set the resolutions. Here the resolution. This is the resolution. We want to be able to set the object. What I did here for the curve line is create a combine XYZ, do that twice, and then we can still drag it out where we want, but it's nicer if you just drag it out from the middle. So let's say I do 0.2 on this one and then minus 0.2 on this one. Around start end 2.2 minus 0.0 or minus 0.2. There it is. If we create a value here, let's do it again. The value of that 0.2, and we multiply it by -1, we get the minus value over here, and we get the plus value over here. And now I think I need to flip them to be correct. Yeah, there we go. Now we can easily change it because we draw the line, of course, and then from the middle you can scale it. And this value you can also just add here an input socket, and this is the width, and we can plug that one in here, and then here in the node group the width we can just drag it out. We also had this one, so you can copy the input node. Then we create another one, another input, and we can call it offset. And we plug that offset into the vector, and then here the offset is how much space is in between the object and the ribbons. So you can also always view them. So let's keep this really small, or we had it at 2. And this way you have created your own ribbon tool with resolution, and also maybe it's handy to plug in the material that you can choose it. And also you can plug this one in here and then say ribbon UVs, maybe with the space in between. So you can also use it here if you are building something and you need multiple. You can plug all these values in here, and then they will appear here. So you can operate the parameters from here. So, but basically this is it. This is a new way with a new node to align your ribbons with your object. And I hope this is useful. And let me know if you like these tutorials. Okay, bye.